The following program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Absolute Mortgage Company, NMLS number 81395 and Washington CL number 81395 is an equal opportunity housing lender. Tina Mitchell, MLO number 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit AbsoluteLoans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information. You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 23rd show. I am your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. Thank you for taking time to talk money. I've built a network of elite industry professionals every week sharing their knowledge and expertise to all of my listeners. If you are hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, but I'm here to answer any questions or connect you with any of the guests that I have in studio today. Please call into the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And if you miss any of the show and you want to know what happened, you can always go to my website and listen to the podcast, search any information that you're looking for, and I can pretty much guarantee I've had everybody in studio with anything regarding money, so use me as a resource. And in studio today, Aaron Peterson with Windermere Real Estate. Real estate's a hot topic, and there's a lot of advice on how to navigate through this environment. But I will tell you, the wrong advice can cost you a lot of money, and that's why I invited Aaron in studio to talk about negotiation and how to get through this buying up process in this environment that we're in. Also in studio, I have Debra Trappen, founder of D11 Consulting. Keys to ignite your life and your business goals. And I actually introduced him a little backwards. Deborah's going to be my first guest in studio, Aaron, my second guest in studio, but it's going to be a great day. And I'm actually going to do something a little unusual. I'm going to keep both of them around for the entire show, and we're going to do a little bit of a roundtable conversation on how branding and marketing yourself and social media really interacts and is important for you as a buyer or a seller on the real estate side to have that as part of your real estate expert and how they generate their business or how they market their business. So it's going to be a fun day today. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to call the show 1-855-400-1150 or online at the moneyhour.com. Let's go ahead and start out the show, as always, with a little money chat. Money. Yep, you hear that, money. A little bit about money. And today I'm going to talk about my arena in the mortgage world. If you didn't know, that's what I do for my full-time career, is I'm a mortgage expert. And that's why you never hear anything about mortgage except from me, is because that's what I do. And I have a lot of information and advice that I can provide you in that arena, doing it for 20 years. And there's a list of questions that you really want to make sure that you know to ask a mortgage professional. And like anything else, when you're searching for an expert, you want to talk with a lot of different people and find that person that's going to connect with you. Even if you find someone that's an industry leader, it may not be the right fit for you, and that's totally okay. But how do you know if you're working with an industry leader? How do you know if you're working with somebody that can get you through that process? Because there's a lot to know and a lot to do in the mortgage arena. So I want to give you some questions to take down. Is there a cost for pre-approval? Definitely, you don't want to pay anything up front. It's a time for you, again, to go through the interviewing process to see if that's someone that you want to move forward and work with. And the pre-approval shouldn't cost anything. There should be no financial commitment or no commitment to move forward with a loan if you choose not to. You want to make sure that consultation that you're having is a pre-approval and it's not a pre-qualification. If it's a pre-qualification, they're telling you they don't want to waste time until you have some type of commitment that you're going to move forward and work with them, because a pre-qualification is just an estimate. You can get generated a nice, pretty letter that says you've been pre-qualified to purchase a home for a particular price. But when you get out into the market and you're working with, like, my real estate expert that I have here in studio today, Aaron, he will tell you, and any other real estate agent will tell you out there, that you cannot make an offer In this environment, especially with a pre-qualification letter, you need a pre-approval letter. So the difference is a pre-approval letter is a solid loan commitment. Now, I do want to caution you on what a solid loan commitment means. A solid loan commitment means it's based on the information that you provided at application. So I caution you as you're making any changes throughout the process, before you do that, you've got to check with your mortgage consultant first. And it seems like it's common sense, but, things get busy. You don't think about it. You've got this nice, pretty letter that says you're pre-approved. If you're making income, employment changes, debt, asset, anything that's regarding money, check with your mortgage consultant first and get that letter updated based on the new information. Pre-approval letter, you also want to make sure that there's a guarantee in there in your closing. And I say that it needs to be in the pre-approval letter is because the pre-approval letter is kind of like your mortgage trophy. It's what you're going in a multiple offer scenario. It's going to be attached to the contract, and it's going to show the strength of your offer. The verbiage that's in the pre-approval that says employment, income, liabilities, everything has been verified and is subject to appraisal and title, because all of that stuff has been verified. So unless you've actually changed it, your approval cannot change based on that. So the verbiage is important. Have the guarantee on your closing date right in the letter as well, because when the listing agent that represents the seller is looking at that, and the seller themselves, it shows strength with the mortgage consultant and the company that you're working with. I say $1,000 is a good guarantee to have and expect from your mortgage lender. When do you lock in your interest rate? Have the conversation with your mortgage consultant. Ask them how the market works. Because how they answer that question, it's going to give you an indicator if they even know. Because I'll tell you, there's a large percentage of mortgage consultants out there that can't even tell you how the interest rates work and what the adjustments are, or how they move and how they're affected. You hear a lot, it's based on the 10-year Treasury, which actually is not correct. It's based on the 30-year Fannie Mae 30-year bond, and how it affects interest rates are directly tied to that. When the bond market is trading at a higher amount, the interest rates are going down. When the bond is losing, the 30-year Fannie Mae bond is losing in trading, the interest rates are going to go up. Usually it's the exact opposite of the stock market, not always. But bottom line is, I will tell you here as a mortgage expert, any expert out there, including myself, is going to be right 50% of the time. Yes, I said 50% of the time. I can't tell you where the interest rates are going to go. Nobody can. And we've all predicted that they're going to go down, and look what's happened. They really have, or that we predicted that they're going to go up. Look what's happened. They really haven't gone up at all, little spurts here and there. But anyone that can tell you that they're going to predict what the market is going to do is not an accurate situation, because they can't. Now, ask about locking in and when you have the opportunity to do that, because what I feel is best for you to do, and again, I'm just encouraging as a mortgage expert and what I believe in personally myself, when you're in a position to lock in your interest rates, you're within 30, 60 days of closing, lock your interest rate in. And here's why: because you can't predict what the market's going to do. Historically, you don't see big drops in the market in interest rates within a particular period of time. Now, have we seen it happen? Of course we have. But you've got a one-time renegotiation. So your lender should be able to renegotiate and get you a better interest rate. If that's not something that they do, then you need to talk with someone else, because not being locked in and at risk of what the rates are going to do is a high risk to be at. So have that conversation with your mortgage consultant. Also ask the question about loan options. The worst thing you can do is see one loan option compared for you. Look at a comparison of options. You should be seeing at least 3 options side by side. Maybe 4, maybe 5. It just depends on what your financial situation is. But if you're a lower down payment scenario, you want to make sure that you're seeing 0 down loan options and grants, because yes, there's free grants out there. You don't have to pay back depending on where your income's at. But anywhere in our area here, $97,000 a year. So if you're listening right now and you make $97,000 or less a year, there is a grant program available for you. You do not have to be a first-time home buyer. Low credit score qualification. So if you're not hearing about that, you need to call into the show, because you're not seeing all of your options. Compare it with a standard FHA 3.5% down payment, and look at it compared to conventional financing if you have the qualifying credit score for that. The worst thing you can do is get into a loan and not understand that you actually had options. And even if you are in the best loan, how do you know that if you haven't looked at your options? And you're going to have a cosigner, you'll have a coworker come up to you, or a neighbor come up to you and talk about the loan program that they got and how awesome it was. And let me give you an example. Someone comes up to you and says, hey, I got an FHA loan. It just closed a little while ago at a 3.875% interest rate. And you're going, wow. I have a conventional loan and it closed at 4.25% interest rate. I needed a 5% down versus a 3.5%. What did I do wrong? Well, let me tell you, the conventional 5% down payment loan option was a better option because even though the rate's higher, the cost of mortgage insurance is so much lower. But don't you want to have that confidence in being able to know that you've looked and analyzed all your loan options? So it's a really important to look at all of your options. Do they have in-house underwriting? Find out where the underwriting is taking place. Not to say that that's evidence that they have in that process for securing your loan is a really good thing. I did also mention as far as the guarantee on your closing, and I say that should be based on a 30-day calendar close. So your guarantee should be based on a 30-day calendar close. It doesn't mean that they can't close sooner than that, but that's what your guarantee should be based on. And I'm telling you, you need to ask them how long they've been in the industry. I thank all of my clients 20 years ago that worked with me in the first 5 years of my business. I really, really do. And I think I kind of made it through it, but I don't know how. My first 2 years in the industry, I have no idea how I made it through. This is really, really hard without having that experience. So ask the question. It's up to you if you want to work with somebody that doesn't have a 5-year experience in the industry, and you can make that decision, obviously, but at least you come equipped and know that they're not as experienced and might be new in the industry, and you can go prepared with that. So those are questions. Don't have time to go through any more because I need to take us to break. But if you have any questions, again, please feel free to call my show at 1-855-400-1150. As your mortgage expert, I'm here to help you in any way that I can. Coming up next on the Money Hour, are you a business owner? If you are, have you ever asked yourself, how can I ignite my life and my business? Well, you definitely want to stick around for my conversation with Debra Trappen, founder of D11 Consulting, right here on 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.
Mortgage fraud has been rampant since 2007. Many folks don't know they have legal rights. Find out if your mortgage loan has wrongdoings and fraud. Magnum Law Group will do a free audit of your loan documents. Facing foreclosure? Need to stop a foreclosure sale? Magnum Law Group can help. We have experts with valuable knowledge, and we get results. Have you decided to short sale your property instead of a foreclosure? Magnum Law Group has the experience to negotiate better and faster for you.
Hi, this is Deborah with Magnum Law Group. Please contact us at 425-454-4300. You can visit our website at www.magnumlawgroup.com or call us at 425-454-4300.
Are you a woman in business or a brand that wants to help them figure out how to take their business to the next level? Do you have questions about how to effectively and safely use social media to build your brand and business? Are you ready to live your purpose out loud every single day, but not sure how to make it happen? Are you looking to start a thriving business, uncover new ideal clients, or find your dream job? Have you been trying to put your brand story together, but keep getting stuck? Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting is a well-respected expert who speaks, writes, and consults on the topics of personal brand, digital marketing strategies, and living a fired-up life. Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting helps entrepreneurs build businesses and lives they love by attracting ideal clients with a solid brand message and simple digital marketing strategies. Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting is passionate about inspiring entrepreneurs to define their personal brand to build a business and life they love. Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting is excited to help you get fired up and on your way to building a successful business and life.
This is Debra Trappen of D11 Consulting. To learn more about my firm, connect with me on social media, or sign up for a free consultation, please visit my website, d11consulting.com. Be sure to sign up to Fire Up on my email list, and you will receive a free core values exercise to get you started defining your personal brand and building a life you love. If you prefer email, send me a note at debra@d11consulting.com. Again, to learn more about my services, connect with me on social, or sign up to Fire Up, visit d11consulting.com. I look forward to connecting with you soon.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 23rd show. I'm empowering our community, providing you with opportunities and solutions when it comes to everything regarding your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, but you can always call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And I can connect you with any of the guests that I have in studio today. And in studio right now, Debra Trappen, founder of D11 Consulting, keys to ignite your life and your business goals. If you're out there listening, whether you're a female or not, but Debra and I being females, it's nice to give some great advice for the female business owners or entrepreneurs out there. But I guess for you guys, you can hang in as well and learn something. Debra, this is her expertise. She's a coach and she's a speaker. She personally helps me out with the Money Hour in my social media presence and really dialing in on a bigger level as a female entrepreneur myself. And so it's always a pleasure to have her in studio. Debra, thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure. Love to be here with you, Tina.
And you guys will have to look on the red site. She is a firecracker. And I say firecracker, she's got bright red hair, beautiful gal, and just a lot of fun to be around. And a little bit about Debra. Debra is the owner and chief experience creator at D11 Consulting. The D11 mission is partnering with women in business and companies who want to connect with them and build engaging brands online. Her passion is ignited with helping her clients get to the core of their personal brand to build a business and life that they love. Debra is a frequent speaker, blogger, and social ambassador for conferences and organizations. Debra, again, it's just always a pleasure to have you here. And I just appreciate so much that you've done for me and the continued relationship that we have. And I have so much passion myself as an entrepreneur, you being an entrepreneur, and just sharing this information because I think a lot of people, business owners or people that are thinking of being business owners, aren't taking this first step. And I think this is really where they should start in that process. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's start out with, when you talk about honesty, is this being honest with yourself, or what are we being honest with that can help in this area?
Sure. Well, when you're thinking about keys to really igniting your business and life goals, you have to first kind of think, what are my goals? Mm-hmm. What are those things that I want to accomplish? And what I find so often with friends and clients is that they have the same goal on their list for years.
Okay.
And so the first key is being honest with yourself. Is that really your goal?
Uh-huh.
Is that your parents' goal? Is it your spouse's or your best friend's goal? Does somebody else plant a seed that you should write that book, or that you should start your own business, or whatever it is? Mm-hmm. Because I think that when it's something we really want to do, that we prioritize it. So it's sense. Just go through and take inventory of what is on that list. And if you keep moving it over quarter to quarter, year to year, mm-hmm. Have a come to Jesus at this point.
Take a relook and see if it really is a goal that you want to do.
Exactly.
Makes total sense. So it's important for everyone to have their own values and to really put a lot of thought into those. And you can have them listed on your website, but really you need to live and practice them in your everyday business and to be a part of your core. So how do you use your values as a guide?
So I think of values as your compass for making mm-hmm. decisions. And so if family is a big value for you, you know that if you're deciding between going to an open house or a showing or going to a baseball game, you know which one is going to feel right.
Sure.
And it's the same with your goals. So when you're setting up your goals, if you know that you want to spend more time with your family this year, then you build that into your structure and you get intentional with it. So you can actually take your value words, the exercise that we've actually gone through, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Finding those 10 words, what are they? And building those into the core of how you're setting your goals, then they actually get done.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And you should be re-looking and analyzing and seeing where changes need to be made, correct?
Right. Well, and the thing is, I think our core values stay the same. I think our core values stay somewhat the same. I think they just change in priority. You know,
Makes
when
total
you're
sense.
raising young kids, family might be towards the top. When you're empty nesting, adventure might be a little bit farther towards the top of your
Sure.
list. So you can reprioritize where you're spending that time, but in order to live your values, they have to be part of your goals.
Yep,
Period.
makes total sense. So what about getting visual?
Getting visual. Okay, so here's something. I love social media, obviously,
yeah.
since it's something that I do personally. I build my business with it. And remember when, back in the 80s, they had that justification for higher education poster.
Yes.
And it had like the big mansion with a gorgeous pool, and there was like a Ferrari and a Lamborghini and a Corvette, like the vision board, right?
Yes.
I think that we've lost track of doing that. We're moving so fast, we don't actually slow down and pin up what our vision is. And now we've got a great tool called Pinterest.
Yes.
That allows us to build a vision board where, if we're feeling like, gosh, I just need a jolt in my, what I'm doing today, that I'm going somewhere, is to go to the internet, find a couple of images that represent that island you want to buy or you want to take your family on vacation to, and pin it. Get visual with it. It gives your brain something to work towards.
Yeah. And I think that's important, and Deborah, and as well, I think it's important when you have kids to go through that process with your children, and that will help in, because how fun is that when you're putting together, you've got the visualization and you've got a place that you want to see your family, and you're getting input from your kids and they're doing it as well. I mean, what a blessing to help your kids get into that habit.
Sure, absolutely.
So you talk also about framing each goal as a positive statement. Can you give me and give my listeners an example of that?
Yes, this is actually one of my favorites of the keys, because I think so often we tend to make our goals with negative terms.
Okay.
So I'll give you the number one goal we all know that happens every January 1st is I want to lose 20 pounds.
Yes.
I mean, it's just losing weight is something that everyone has on their list. And so what this does is it switches that. Instead of talking about losing weight, you want to say, this year I'm going to start living healthier so that I have more energy with my children. I can run through the park with my grandkids. Frame it and give yourself those moments that you're going to experience when you actually do shed that weight. But don't look at it as though you're losing something. Look at what it's gaining.
Makes total sense. And I always say, too, that have some integrity with yourself and what you want, what you're visualizing, and be realistic, because we have to start somewhere. And sometimes you can't say that I am, because you're not and you don't feel it. And you don't feel that you can even accomplish it at that early stage. So if you can start lower and just go, you know what, I can do this, and continue to build up. And I think that's important as well. So, Deborah, what about everyone needs to step back and, as you would say, check yourself? What do you advise someone to do?
Well, I think one of the things that we don't do for ourselves is hold ourselves accountable very well. And with goals, you have to have accountability check-ins. And so get it on your calendar. Put it on your calendar and say, I'm going to sit down with myself and I'm going to look at these and I'm going to get real with myself. Again, make sure that I'm being honest with myself. So I'm going to go back to number one with this. And then remembering that you're not in competition with anyone else.
Sure.
This is about you and the life you're creating for yourself, and motivate yourself from that perspective. Don't compare yourself with anyone. Be your best self. Make the best decision starting in that moment.
So what about a leader of a company, Deborah, when you've got, because both of us have people that, that work underneath us, and when you're a leader of a company and you have these goals, are you setting yourself accountable with your team as well, that you're meeting those? Is that something that you advise your students to do, or what is your advice there?
Absolutely. I think that especially when you have a team environment, letting everyone know what the ultimate goals are in your business goals in particular, but you can even bring them into your life goals. If you are trying to get healthier, that healthier lifestyle, hold some of your meetings while taking a walk.
Ah, that's a great idea.
And so there's certain ways that you can infuse those goals into both areas. And who doesn't want to get a little sunshine when it's nice here and
exactly.
get a little exercise?
Yeah, we could have got lots of exercise this summer. I don't know how much longer it's going to last. But so, Deborah, can you talk about creating SMART goals?
Sure. This is not something I've created. This is something that I learned years ago. But it's specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time framed.
Okay.
And, anyone listening can go onto Bing or Google and just search for SMART goals. And there's all sorts of great resources and tools out there. Look at your goals and make sure that they match each one of those. Again, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time framed.
Makes sense. So you also coach your students to celebrate successes and to keep themselves motivated and rewarded.
Absolutely. I think when we crush milestones, we tend to, especially as entrepreneurs, I'll automatically start going for the next thing. And we're like, okay, that's done now. Now what? Instead of slowing down and giving yourself a little something, whether it's, a mani-pedi day or a little long weekend away, whatever it might be, do something that actually recognizes it so that your mind knows, okay, when I accomplish a goal, I get a reward. Yeah. It'll start to build the habit of actually accomplishing goals because your brain knows I am going to be rewarded when I accomplish this.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Debra. And business women finding clarity and vision. Are there exercises that they can do? Because this is a hard thing, I think, for especially women.
Yeah, you know what? I think writing things down. If there's one exercise that could stand under clarity is write them down and then say, here, my one step that I'm going to take next is this. And just start with that. I think sometimes we tend to go, crazy with writing out lists. Yeah. So just write down what that goal is and what's one thing that you can do to accomplish it and just focus on that because that allows, again, your brain to focus on something.
Okay.
And you get a little bit closer every one step you take instead of trying to plan it all.
Makes total sense. And Debra, you obviously know my personal my core 3 personal values or practices, which is dream, learn to fail, and be alert. So on learn to fail, because I know for you, when you talk about with your clients, someone falls short or they fail and they talk about, you talk about giving themselves grace. Explain that.
Oh, I love to use the term shame off you.
Okay.
Because we all fall down. We all fail. But if we focus on failing forward and recognize that it takes commitment, it takes determination, and it takes time to do goals, and that we're human. We will fail. Just if we can stop and not fear the failure and embrace the failure as though this is a lesson I'm learning. How am I going to be able to use this in the future and not sinking down? That's the grace part. Just give yourself grace. You wouldn't yell at your 5-year-old self for making a mistake.
Sure.
So why would you yell at your 35 or 40-year-old self?
Makes sense. I just say life is balance. Remember that because you have to have the failures. And when you fail, you're not starting. When you start over, you're not starting from square one because you've already gotten that much further. Right. So you just keep pushing a little bit further and eventually you'll get to your success. Yes. Debra, the people that you surround yourself around can make or break you. And you would attract who you are. So obviously if you don't like your space, maybe you need to think about who you're around.
Yeah. There's all sorts of, formulas that you hear out there. You are the sum of the 5 people you spend most time with is one of the most famous. I just look at it as though I surround myself with champions and things that are important to me. Again, I go back to my values.
Sure.
People who are adventurous, who are positive thinkers, who are dreaming and building towards something. They don't have to be, the Bill Gates success story. They need to be moving towards something and not sitting somewhere. And that the saying, don't expect to see positive changes in a life when you're surrounding yourself with negative people is so true.
Yep. And I think too, the people that were around, my closest people, I'm always getting inspired by them. I mean, there's always things that are coming back. So look at the people and go, what was the last time that something that they did inspired or gave me an idea? And that's where life really gets exciting is connecting ourselves with those powerful people that are powerful to us and are like what we are. So last question before we take it to break, Debra, who you are as a person and how you feel about yourself is everything. You say to live with integrity.
Absolutely. I think it's simply be true to your word. When you make a goal, stick to it. It feels good. It'll keep you moving forward.
Great advice, Debra. Thank you so much again for the time and have you hang around and we'll bring you back in the third segment.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
Coming up next in the Money Hour, it's all about the skill of negotiation. How important in today's real estate market? Well, I think it's everything. Erin Peterson with Windermere right here on 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.
Mortgage fraud has been rampant since 2007. Many folks don't know they have legal rights. Find out if your mortgage loan has wrongdoings and fraud. Magnum Law Group will do a free audit of your loan documents. Facing foreclosure? Need to stop a foreclosure sale? Magnum Law Group can help. We have experts with valuable knowledge, and we get results. Have you decided to short sale your property instead of a foreclosure? Magnum Law Group has the experience to negotiate better and faster for you.
Hi, this is Debra with Magnum Law Group. Please contact us at 425-454-4300. You can visit our website at www.magnumlawgroup.com or call us at 425-454-4300.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 23rd show. I'm empowering our community, providing you with opportunities and the solutions when it comes to anything regarding your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, you can talk to myself or any of the guests that I have in studio. Just pick up the phone, give the show a call at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And I definitely will connect you with the guests that I have in studio today. And right now I'm going to be talking with Aaron Peterson with Windermere Real Estate. Is one of my trusted sources for the local real estate market and advice for buyers and sellers. Aaron, thank you so much for coming back into studio. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me back.
And Aaron is the designated broker with Windermere Real Estate in Renton and has 18 years specializing in real estate in the greater Seattle area. He is an educator, a trainer specializing in Windermere Ninja program. And I know a lot of agents that have been through the Ninja program, and that is quite a program to go through. And contact review specialist. He's also experienced in land development and assessing opportunity. So Aaron, let's talk a little bit about our topic today is offer negotiation and what strategies are effective in a multiple offer scenario.
Well, there's a lot of different strategies that can be effective, but the biggest thing is when you're on the buyer side going to a seller, you want to keep things simple. A lot of times you'll have people that will bring an offer with all these different forms from different companies. Everybody's got their own unique forms to their company. But that doesn't mean that the seller or the listing agent can actually interpret those forms.
Okay.
So you want to limit the contingencies, keep the contract simple, and just make sure that everything is clear and concise.
It makes total sense. You want to make it easy for them to see what a great offer that you have.
Right.
Makes sense. So what are some terms that help or hurt an offer being accepted?
Well, some of the terms that will hurt it, I guess, would be, giving a closing date that's very specific. You want to make sure your terms are flexible.
Okay.
So a larger down payment, for instance, is going to give you a lot of leverage versus somebody that's maybe coming in with a minimum type down payment, as you would know in the mortgage business.
Yes.
If you can be flexible on a closing date, for instance, if the buyer needs to get in sooner than later, and then allow them to get in as soon as they need to, there's a premium for that. There's also maybe a rent back for the seller coming from the buyer's side. Let them do that. Let them do whatever they need to do in that respect as well. Another thing I should have mentioned earlier is also make sure you're pre-approved.
Yes.
Make sure you've got all that stuff kind of out of the way. Make sure you've got all your ducks in a row. And before you make your offer, you know where you need to stand.
Makes total sense. And I definitely would go to your agent with that pre-approval letter, have them take a look at it and make sure, because being expert in the industry and working with buyers and going through the process, Aaron, I'm sure that you can look at it and go, you know what, this verbiage is not a strong pre-approval.
Right.
This doesn't have a guarantee or whatever that case may be. And, definitely coach and help them there.
Absolutely. You want to make it only subject to a successful appraisal and title review. If there's anything else on there, there might be some things you need to think about.
Exactly. And so, Aaron, is negotiating different for new construction versus resale homes?
Absolutely. There's quite a bit of difference there. And the main reason is because a new construction home is going to need to have their value. They're going to have to support the rest of the homes within that same area to be able to get that same value. So a lot of times the better thing to do, and a lot of people fall short here as an agent that doesn't necessarily know, is to ask for upgrades, ask for appliances, ask for a fence, ask for things that can actually be packaged within that price.
Oh, makes sense.
Get your closing costs in there, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So if you don't if you have to pay a certain amount, you might as well get the most out of it.
Yeah, makes sense. So are you saying with the new construction, is it as competitive as resale construction or resale out there, or what are you seeing? Are there some...
Yeah, I think it is as competitive. A lot of it depends on if there's standing inventory or if there's not.
Okay.
If it's a pre-sale and the home's not built yet, there's a lot of more flexibility for a buyer to actually pay for upgrades, make adjustments.
Sure.
If the inventory is standing, it's just like any other resale where a seller, a builder is going to need to sell that home, and they'll do what it takes to get that done.
Makes total sense. So you got some time in there. If you've got your house is going to be completed in 6 to 12 months, you might be able to do something a little bit different than one that's already done, and they need to get that closed.
Absolutely.
They got to pay back the bank that they have the loan out with.
They do. They've got carrying costs, and that goes a long way, just like in anything else.
That makes total sense. So, Aaron, what about loan effect negotiation? How does a loan affect negotiating?
Well, the percentage down, like we talked about earlier, is definitely going to factor in. But if you've got a conventional versus an FHA loan, a lot of times that's a lot more appealing to somebody. Or a VA versus a conventional loan. The appraisal is going to be a lot more strict on a VA, or they're going to be able to, or the appraiser is going to come out and maybe ask for a lot more things, like a roof, for instance.
Sure.
That may not be such a big issue in a conventional loan. If you're paying enough down on a conventional loan, there won't be really anything that an appraiser may ask for because they know it's going to be covered and their loan is secure with the down payment.
Sure. So what advice do you have for your buyers? And in the industry, as you as a realtor working for the buyer and the realtor that's representing the seller, I mean, you guys see this all the time, so you know exactly the guidelines and things that are happening with your government financing. But your FHA loan is just known for a lower down, which means they don't have a lot of cash. Maybe they've got some credit challenges. It's just they're not as strong of a buyer. But when you have somebody that's utilizing that program, it's their only option to get in. How can they stand out?
Well, I think, again, it's the terms, the flexibility, being a little bit more flexible there. I think that they need to keep their options a little bit more open. They don't want to get themselves into a super competitive environment. I think that they'll want to, just put their best foot forward. They're only going to be able to do what they're going to be able to do in that situation, though. And I think they have to be realistic about that. If they're going to try to get something, it's probably not going to be their dream home at that point. They may get into something at this point, build some equity, and then look down the road to put themselves in a better position. Yeah.
So I always say, just, don't give up. You're not going to get your offer accepted the first, second, maybe third, fourth, or fifth time. But if you keep at it, you're going to get a house. You've just got to be realistic with what you want to do. And that's great advice, Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can a seller do to maximize their position? Because I think a lot of sellers in this market, they think, oh, geez, there's no inventory. I can get anything I want to. And they're really not strategizing and being smart. Ultimately, they're in a worse position than if the market was slow because they're thinking about what to do. When the reality is they need to be thinking about, because it's all about maximizing the profit, not just selling the home.
Absolutely. A seller, a lot of times you'll see people will put a home on the market and they'll give a date for when they're going to review offers. So I think waiting and allowing people to see the home and then put their best foot forward is going to give them an opportunity to maximize their profit. At the same time, you'll have a lot of restrictions on showings. You'll have allow people to do pre-inspections so they can get those types of contingencies out of the way. And you'll allow a buyer to have an inspection, but it will be done at that point because until the inspection is waived, the contingency is done, there is nothing at that point that is secure about that transaction. So you've got to allow them to do whatever they need to do as far as due diligence goes.
So don't be in a rush to sell the house. Take your time, and then you're going to get the best buyer that's ultimately going to end up closing on that home and not backing out because some of these contingencies.
You want to be selective. You also want to be comparing apples to apples. When you get different offers, I've seen people with spreadsheets that actually breaks them down and shows each different portion of that offer, the contingencies, and shows how they are, all things being equal or unequal. It shows them side by side. It's much easier to determine that way.
That's a great idea. I'm really big on one-timing. I just did a presentation over at Keller Williams last week on one-time, how to one-time your business. And what a great idea to have a spreadsheet with all the important things, because as a seller, when you've got 20 offers and they don't really know this, they're not selling houses every day. And so here's a breakdown of what's important, and let's line it up and see what what the points are down at the end and let you know which is the better offer.
Yep.
And then ultimately it gives them the tool for them to make the decision, because I know as an agent, the seller needs to make that decision. You don't want to by any means be in a position to where something happens with a buyer and it looked like it was the best offer, but you don't know until everything is all said and done. So.
Well, oftentimes an agent that's doing a great job is going to be presenting information. It's going to be about presentation of information, and ultimately the seller's always going to make the decision.
Yes.
So it's got to be packaged that way.
Makes total sense. So how influential are the agents when it comes to negotiation? I know the answer, but I think listeners, they really need to hear this.
Yeah, absolutely. An agent is very influential, and it can be either way. It can be very positive or it can be very negative.
Yep.
If you get if you get a multiple offer situation, you get 3 offers in, and a lot of times it's easy to eliminate one because it's not written properly in the first place.
Sure.
There may be boxes that are not checked that should be checked. There might be an earnest money that is not actually in cash form or anything like that. You can accept a note or you can accept a check, but you've got to make sure that everything is done properly. And if things that are not done properly make a loose contract, and a loose contract is not a contract at all.
Yeah.
So you just want to make sure that the agent has the client's best interest in mind, but the agent is the one, based on experience, that's going to be able to see those types of things that have happened previously to be able to make a good guess or a good estimate and put yourself in a good position to make the right decision. Makes
sense. So again, you've got to have that experience, because you don't want an agent going in and not looking like they know what they're doing, because it's never going to go through. And watch their personality too. I mean, if they're a hardcore, not a nice person, they're probably not, if they do business, which first of all, you want them to do business in the industry. So they either do a lot of business good, or for whatever reason they're making it and they're doing deals out there not so good. But in the way they interact with people, it's important, because that listing agent wants to have someone that's going to work together as a team. There is a lot of work that has to be done, and you guys have to do this together and partner to make everything come together. So it's so important. And what can be done in advance to strengthen a buyer-seller position, Aaron?
Well, we talked about getting pre-approved, absolutely. We talked, the terms. A lot of the terms are going to be the thing. The shorten the finance contingency, shorten the inspection contingency. Just prepare.
Quick closing date.
Yeah. And then, just always be prepared. Preparation is the key to making everything go smoothly.
And what differences are there between homes and condos when it comes to negotiating?
Well, in terms of, you've got a couple more contingencies within the condominium, because you've got an HOA association, homeowner association. You also have got some time to review a resale certificate.
Yep.
And so those types of things are going to be contingencies that you can't avoid as a seller, and you can want to take advantage of as a buyer.
So, Aaron, is cost per square foot a good figure to use?
I think it can be.
Okay.
Oftentimes, in today's world online, all we have is cost per square foot and equations that are on there for valuing homes with Redfin, Zillow, stuff like that.
Sure.
But it's not the only way, and it's definitely not the best way, because as we talk about real estate being local, there are going to be some differences locally that you can't measure in square footage. Okay.
And negotiation varied by location. Obviously, there's some difference going on, and you need to know where you're at and where you're making offers, correct?
Absolutely. The difference in the speed of the market in a lot of places is going to be very different, although they're close in proximity.
Yes.
So it really depends.
Well, I am going to, Aaron, take it to break, because I've got both of you sticking around, and I thought it would just be fun to switch it up a little bit and do a mini roundtable conversation we had Debra at my first interview and conversation of the show today, where she really, her business is coaching and mentoring around your personal brand and social media. She does a lot of education for the real estate community and helping in their businesses. And then I got Aaron. He's an industry leader as a broker and real estate agent. And so having a conversation with the two of them, how these things really tie together, that's what we're going to do after this short break right here on 1150 AM KKNW.
Mortgage fraud has been rampant since 2007. Many folks don't know they have legal rights. Find out if your mortgage loan has wrongdoings and fraud. Magnum Law Group will do a free audit of your loan documents. Facing foreclosure? Need to stop a foreclosure sale? Magnum Law Group can help. We have experts with valuable knowledge, and we can get results. Have you decided to short sale your property instead of a foreclosure? Magnum Law Group has the experience to negotiate better and faster for you.
Hi, this is Debra with Magnum Law Group. Please contact us at 425-454-4300. You can visit our website at www.magnumlawgroup.com or call us at 425-454-4300.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 23rd show. My goal is to keep you up to date on the latest news and trends in our local economy. Keep me tuned in, and I promise I will keep you informed. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, you can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com to discuss anything regarding money, your financial questions that you have, or to talk with any of the guests that I've had in studio today or any of my other shows. And I have back, I have Aaron with Windermere and Debra with D11 Consulting. And we're going to have a mixed conversation about personal branding and social media and how an entrepreneur, the importance of that in their business and how that connects directly with real estate. So I'm excited to talk with both of you on this, and I'm just going to throw out the questions and let either one of you give me an answer on what your thoughts are. So how does personal brand affect your success as a realtor?
I'm happy to start because I love this topic.
You go ahead, Debra.
I think it's, giving a little bit of structure around what personal brand is, and it's simply what other people think of when they think of you. So it's those elements, those words, your characteristics, your personality. And so I think that's epically important to a real estate professional in particular, because knowing who you are, what you're passionate about, where your focus is, allows you to attract the ideal clients to build your business with. And in real estate, you spend a lot of time with clients.
Yes.
And so finding the right clients to spend all that time with makes life so much more fun and enjoyable.
Yeah. And Aaron, for you, if you've got a client that's coming in that's just not a good fit for you, is it a good fit for them and ultimately what the ending result's going to be for their transaction?
No, not at all. I've talked a lot about with agents in our office about finding somebody that is similar to you, that you've got their interest in mind, and somebody that you can be an advocate for. Because if you don't connect, you're not going to be the person they know, like, and trust, and you're not going to be able to make them a good decision.
Makes total sense. So communicating that and having that conversation with your client so you can find out right up front if it's a good fit for both of you.
Yeah.
So how does your personal branding affect your reputation in the industry and affect your client's offer being accepted? Because, Aaron, we talked about the importance of the agent themselves and how they really have a big part in whether this deal is going to come together and whether it's going to be accepted. So in that, in the reputation in the industry, that ties directly with personal branding.
Oh, absolutely. People have to know who you are. They understand you from your reputation a lot of the times. And agents that you work with, you're going to work with the same agents on a regular basis in the same area, and they're going to know who you are. Good or bad, they're going to know who you are.
Sure.
So hopefully your personal branding is something they can look at, remember you from something from before, and say, yeah, this person will get it done.
So, Debra, how do you help your real estate agent clients in their personal branding and be able to connect and tie this all together?
I think it's interesting that you kind of bring that up, Aaron, is when I first started in real estate and my very first transaction, when I told my mentor who I was doing the transaction with, she said, oh, you're so lucky. That's the person on the other side of the transaction.
Yes.
The very next deal I did was with that agent where everyone goes, oh,
yeah,
he never calls you back. And so I think part of what you can do for yourself is to not just survey the client after a transaction, but also talk to the agent on the other side and say, how did I do? Is there anything that I could do to improve my just ask them.
Yeah.
Say, and I think that's memorable as well, that you care about it. And so I just say, just ask them, what was the best part of the transaction and where was my opportunity?
Yeah, makes total sense. And I know that, having a niche and is important in what you stand for, the type of business that you do. What do you guys think? Is it, having a niche and communicating that and being focused on that, is that important in real estate?
I think it's very important in real estate. And the biggest thing I think that a niche does for an agent is it actually gives them some consistency. Because when you don't know what's coming, it makes it very difficult to predict. You talk about people's time, if they want to change their time. You talked about in the first segment. If you don't know what to predict, then you can't structure your time. And so having a niche, I think, makes things more predictable and hopefully more manageable.
Makes sense. Deborah?
Sure. Well, I think, I come back to what do you want to be known for? And I think that if you are building your business around your personal brand and what you love to do for fun and what attracts you to other people, that you avoid things like burnout, consumer confusion. What do you do and are you the right fit for me? I often think that it's so much easier to define your focus. It's much harder to say no to business. And so I think that if you can start right now defining what that is and where your focus is, you're going to start building that business and you're going to get that feeling. Again, it's going to help build that habit to say, I feel that in my gut. This is not going to be a great transaction, and referring it out.
That's so funny that you say that, because I'm very selective of who I have come into studio. They're all people that are industry leaders. I respect them. They know what they're doing. And I have to tell you that there's been many times in my 20-year career where I've told a realtor or a financial planner or a CPA that, this is just not the right fit for us. And it doesn't mean that it's their fault or my fault. It's just most of the time it's their fault. But
I love it.
But you've got to be in a place in your business that go, I just really don't agree with the way you do business. I don't agree the way you don't appreciate my time or whatever or the way you talk to my team or whatever that situation may be. So I think it's very important. Let's talk about social media. Does social media really make a difference as far as the real estate business and how you're communicating with clients, whether an offer is going to get accepted, how you market properties? How are you talking to your clients, Deborah, with social media?
Well, none of the above that you just mentioned. I actually look at social media as a place not to do marketing of your listings. So the real estate professionals who are listening, stop doing that. Let your seller sell their house on Facebook. Let them post it up. But most of the people that are following you on Facebook are your friends. They don't want to see the report that you just created today. They don't want to know about the escrow you just closed. No one else does that.
Sure.
CEOs of major companies don't come on and say, I closed the best deal of my life today. People don't want to hear that, but they do want to know about you.
Yes.
And so I look at social media. It's a communication platform. It's a place to build relationship during that in-between time of when you're together in person. And it allows you to get to know them. As sales professionals, part of what our job is to find those things that we have in common so that we create the connections. And that social media is filled. People tell you what they're doing all day long.
Yeah.
And so it's such a rich resource if used properly.
Yeah. What do you think, Aaron?
Well, I think that's spot on. I think that it is really about developing relationships. And I've had some talks with some agents in our office and said, you need to post more about yourself because nobody cares about your business, just like you said. I mean, they want to know who you are. And if they don't know who you are, you're not a good person for them to use because they don't feel like they know you. So I think that's very interesting. Another thing is, with the reports you talk about, they don't look very complicated to us. But when you send something like that or post something like that online, it is foreign. It doesn't make any sense. So they're not going to read it, and it's going to be like, skip that, and then skip everything that they see. So,
Makes total sense. And Aaron, on the agent side, are you guys back and forth looking at each other's social media to see, if that's a person that you want to work with? Do you think that that's happening?
I think it's in some cases when you vet an agent or want to see what they're all about, Google them, check out their social media. You can see, you get a pretty good taste of who they are. You can see if they've been Yelped, I guess.
Yes,
see good or bad.
Exactly.
But all that's there. It's all there it's just information.
Yeah,
and you can choose to use that information.
Makes total sense. So I would imagine in real estate that it's important for clients to feel connected on a personal level with the realtor, and even more so than definitely more so than my industry. My industry on the lending side is different because we're talking money, and they come into the office, and usually we're wearing a hopefully a professional attire. Whereas a realtor, I mean, you're out there, you're showing properties, and you're taking them to Pike Place Market in the new area to show them what's happening. You're maybe going out for lunch or meeting at a Starbucks, and so I'd imagine that in that industry more than anything, that again, personal and connection is important.
I think so. And when you talk about being dressed up or not being dressed up, sometimes that's the call you have to make. If the person you're showing doesn't dress up, don't dress up.
Yes.
So yeah, a lot of that. You
want to make them comfortable.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. It's about making them comfortable, and whatever that takes is what you try to do.
Yeah. Debra?
Yeah, I think, on both these last two topics, here's the thing is when you learn about what's going on in someone's life, it allows you to make them comfortable about wherever you are in the process. So, for example, if you are sending over a contract on a listing and you pop by the co-op agent, the listing agent's Facebook page and see that they've got a big game, their kids have a big game tonight, then you can just add a little note and say,
that's brilliant.
Say, you know what? I know you've got a game tonight. Don't worry about it. Let's talk tomorrow morning. You put them at ease. Hello. Who else is doing that? That makes you memorable. It makes you sound connected.
What if you were a listing agent and they went to see you and you like wine? Could you buy them a bottle of wine? Can you buy that listing agent a bottle of wine, or no, you can't do that? Yeah?
Oh, yeah, you can buy a bottle of wine. Just don't drink it.
I mean, I would buy you a bottle of wine if you were a listing agent. Because I know exactly what you like.
Well, great.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Well, thanks, you guys. That was a fun little round table, and I just appreciate you guys so much being in studio. I know both of you are really, really busy, and it was a pleasure, and I can't wait to have you back again soon.
Excellent.
Thank you,
very
Erin.
much.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
This is your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, signing off for the day. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Have a fantastic weekend. And I will talk to you same time, same place, right here on 1150 AM KKNW next weekend.
The preceding program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Absolute Mortgage Company, NMLS number 81395 and Washington CL number 81395 is an equal opportunity housing lender. Tina Mitchell, MLO number 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit AbsoluteLoans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information.